Quick question. Which country just announced it's building Europe's strongest army, is spending more on defense than France and Britain combined, and changed its constitution to borrow unlimited money for military expansion? If you're thinking, definitely not the country that started 2 world wars, you're wrong. Because Germany, pacifist, guilt-ridden, anti-military Germany, just went on the most insane defense spending spree in modern European history. We're talking 649 billion euros over 5 years, 108.2 billion euros for 2026 alone, nearly double France's entire defense budget, constitutional amendments, unlimited military borrowing. The goal? The strongest conventional army in Europe by 2029. And here's the kicker, everyone's cheering them on. Today you're going to discover how Germany went from Europe's military embarrassment to its rearmament leader in just 3 years, and why this comeback might be the most historically ironic geopolitical shift of the decade. Before we talk about the comeback, we need to understand just how catastrophically bad Germany's military became, because underfunded doesn't begin to cover it. In 2018, of 128 Typhoon fighter jets, only 39 were operationally available, and several of those had no weapons or communications. Of 130 helicopters, only 29 were flight-ready. Only 3 out of 15 A400M transport aircraft could deploy, and submarines? 0. None were ocean-ready. Let me repeat that. Germany, with the world's 4th largest economy, had 0 operational submarines. For decades, Germany spent an average of only 1.2% of GDP on defense, well below NATO's 2% target they agreed to in 2014. Cumulative underinvestment since 1989 totaled 618 billion euros. That's not budget restraint, that's national defense malpractice. German troops in Afghanistan had to borrow body armor and rely on civilian helicopter contractors because the Bundeswehr couldn't supply them. In 2019, Germany was supposed to lead NATO's Very High Readiness Joint Task Force. Their 9th Tank Brigade couldn't field tanks due to lack of spare parts and personnel. Parliamentary Commissioner Eva Hugel's annual reports became a litany of failure. The Bundeswehr still has too little of everything. There is a lack of ammunition, spare parts, radio equipment. This wasn't just about money. Post-World War II Germany developed an almost pathological aversion to military power. Universities had Zivilklauseln, policies limiting defense-related research. Politicians proudly championed pacifism. Military service was seen as embarrassing. A 2025 analysis by the German Institute for Defense and Strategic Studies found Germany would probably not win a conflict with Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, a country of 10 million people. Germany was a pseudo-superpower, massive economy, pathetic military. America was furious. Despite being among the world's 5 largest economies, Germany remained one of NATO's budgetary laggards. Trump called them out publicly. Other allies quietly fumed. Germany had become Europe's military freeloader, living under the US security umbrella, lecturing others about international cooperation while refusing to pay for their own defense. And then February 24th, 2022 happened. Russia invaded Ukraine, and Germany woke up like someone dumped ice water on their face. Because suddenly, pacifism looked a lot like defenseless. February 27th, 2022, 3 days after Russia invaded Ukraine, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stood before Parliament and delivered a speech that shattered 77 years of German security policy. "We need a new defense and security policy," Scholz declared. He announced a one-off 100 billion euro fund for comprehensive investment into the Bundeswehr. To do so, he had to amend the Basic Law, essentially Germany's constitution. The word for this moment? Zeitenwende, the turning point. Germany doesn't change its constitution lightly. The Basic Law was written specifically to prevent another militarized Germany. Amending it to enable massive military spending? That's not policy adjustment, that's a civilizational shift. And here's what shocked everyone. Germans supported it. A March 2025 survey found 66% believe it's right to increase defense spending, while 59% agreed Germany should significantly increase debt for defense and infrastructure. 66% in pacifist Germany, supporting military expansion. Even more remarkable, the main parties largely united behind the defense budget. The Greens, Germany's peace movement party, voting for military expansion. But here's where the story gets complicated, because while the 100 billion euro fund was welcomed, implementation was lackluster, and government squabbling ultimately led to Scholz losing his job. The money existed, the procurement processes didn't. In 2023, some 10% of the equipment budget, 600 million euros, went unspent due to management bottlenecks and lack of procurement staff. Germany's procurement system is legendarily slow. Bundeswehr systems have been known to take 13 years from concept to fielding, while a new drone can be iterated in 6 weeks. Fast forward to 2024. Commissioner Hugel, unfortunately, I have to say that the Bundeswehr still has too little of everything. The 100 billion euros existed, but the tanks were still broken. Ammunition was still scarce. Personnel was still insufficient. Then came the 2025 election. Friedrich Merz became chancellor. And if Scholz announced Zeitenwende, Merz decided to supercharge it. Because what Merz announced wasn't incremental improvement. It was the most aggressive military buildup by any Western nation since the 1980s. All right, let's talk numbers. Because the scale of what Germany just committed to is genuinely insane. Germany plans to spend 649 billion euros on the military over the next 5 years. That's not total government spending, that's just defense. From 86 billion euros in 2025, ramping to 152 billion euros by 2029, nearly doubling in 4 years. For 2026 alone, 108.2 billion euros, nearly double France's 57.2 billion euros defense budget. Germany will spend more on defense than France and Britain combined. Let that sink in. Germany only just met NATO's 2% GDP target in 2024 for the first time since 1991. By 2029, they're projected to hit 3.5% of GDP. That's a bigger jump than any NATO member has ever achieved in peacetime. Between 2023 and 2025, Germany approved 255 major procurement projects worth 188.4 billion euros, compared to 215 projects totaling 109 billion euros between 2015 and 2022. They're buying more weapons in 3 years than they did in the previous 8. In December 2025 alone, Germany's Parliamentary Budget Committee approved 30 major defense procurement projects worth nearly 50 billion euros. 50 billion. In 1 month. How is Germany financing this? By borrowing 400 billion euros, $469 billion over 5 years, enabled by a constitutional reform that loosened Germany's strict debt rules. Germany amended its constitution, exempting military and intelligence spending above 1% GDP from the Schuldenbremse. Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil, a balanced budget is no end in itself if bridges are crumbling. Germany's logic, better in debt than conquered. The Merz government's 500 billion euro Bundeswehr plan, 2025 to 2035, could transform Zeitenwende into lasting military modernization. €500 billion, over a decade. That's wartime-level spending during peacetime. Chancellor Friedrich Merz, our army must become the best-equipped armed force in Europe. Not adequate, not capable, the best. And it gets crazier. At the 2025 Hague Summit, NATO agreed to a target of 5% of GDP to defense by 2035. 3.5% for core military spending, 1.5% for defense infrastructure. So Germany's throwing money at defense like they're trying to make up for 30 years of underinvestment in 3 years. Because they are. But money without equipment is just expensive promises. Let's see what they're actually buying. Despite all the problems, Germany's military transformation is becoming visible. Real troops, real equipment, real deployments. In May 2025, Germany activated a full armored brigade in Lithuania, the Bundeswehr's first permanent foreign deployment since World War II. The 45th Panzer Brigade is expected to reach 5,000 troops by 2027. This isn't symbolic. This is a combat brigade on NATO's eastern flank, permanently. The first H-145M helicopter was delivered in November 2024, with 61 more following by the end of 2028. Tanks are rolling off production lines, ships are being laid down, Aircraft are being delivered. A new Planning and Procurement Acceleration Act scheduled for early 2026 will expand on 2022 laws to ensure equipment reaches troops faster. Germany's streamlining the bureaucracy that's plagued them for decades. The 2025 budget creates approximately 10,000 additional military and 1,000 civilian positions. Long-term goal: increase active soldiers by at least 60,000, with reservists rising to 240,000. Germany participated in a series of military exercises during August-September 2025, training to defend NATO's eastern flank. The Bundeswehr is moving from international crisis management mentality back to prepare for high-intensity conventional war. The operational plan for Germany seeks a whole-of-society approach to defense akin to Estonia's, greater cooperation between armed forces and local communities to increase civil resilience. Germany's preparing not just its military, but its entire society for potential conflict. As the largest European economy with rejuvenated purpose, Germany is uniquely placed to drive the swift rearmament NATO badly needs. Germany's not just rebuilding its own military, it's becoming the backbone of European defense. Chancellor Merz declared a week ago in Berlin, "Germany is back. Germany is making a significant contribution to the defense of freedom and peace in Europe." That's not just rhetoric. That's a statement of intent backed by hundreds of billions in spending. If this deep dive into Germany's shocking military comeback revealed something you didn't know, hit that subscribe button. We're covering the defense transformations reshaping Europe and the world. Drop a comment. Do you think Germany's military buildup is justified? Or does German rearmament make you nervous given history? Can Germany actually deliver on these promises? Or will bureaucracy and equipment failures derail the entire project? Thanks for watching. See you next time on the Strategic Horizon.